Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. So, how can parents manage siblings' rivalry without creating long-term bitterness? Jagadev, sibling rivalry is not a sign of dysfunctional parenting, it's a natural expression of children learning to navigate emotions, boundaries, and social interaction. Problems arise only when rivalry is mismanaged. In the Art of Living Know Your Child program, we teach that rivalry grows when children feel unequal attention, comparison, or emotional neglect. Acharya Ratnananda and Amma handled this beautifully between Gurudev and Bhanumati ji. There was never comparison, only celebration of each child's unique qualities. This is why both grew up with confidence, mutual respect, and deep affection. Now, parents should remember three principles. First, no comparisons. Even positive comparisons like learn from your sister, she is so disciplined, can create wounds. Children interpret comparisons as I am not enough. Equal emotional attention, not equal treatment. Each child has different needs. One may seek affection, another may seek independence. Equal treatment fails, attuned treatment works. Teach emotional vocabulary, help children articulate feelings. You felt upset because your brother took your toy. This builds communication instead of conflict. Now, KYC teaches parents how to create shared experiences, family satsangs, seva outings, cooking together, chanting, and silence time. These activities dissolve rivalry and build bonding because they elevate the family's collective emotional field. Parents must also process their own stress. When parents are overwhelmed, children compete for attention. When parents are centered, children naturally become kinder. Sibling rivalry is not a battle to be solved, it is a relationship to be guided, and with the conscious parenting, it transforms into lifelong friendship. Now, how can the teachings of Vedic scriptures help parents in understanding the different temperaments of children? The Vedas, the Upanishads, and texts like the Bhagavad Gita give profound insights into human temperament. More than 5,000 years ago, the rishis identified that individuals function according to gunas, the sattva, rajas, and tamas, and prakriti or nature. What modern psychology calls personality types, Vedic wisdom calls the swabhava. This framework helps parents understand why one child is calm and introverted, why another is energetic and adventurous, why one learns through listening, and why another learns through doing. Acharya Ratnananji intuitively understood this. He recognized young Sri Ravi Shankarji's sattvic nature, his inclination towards silence, meditation, and compassion. Instead of forcing him into a conventional mold, he provided fertile ground for those qualities to flourish. This is why Gurudev blossomed with gentleness and extraordinary insight. Parents today often misunderstand their children because they expect a uniform behavior, but Vedic parenting says do not mold a child, mold the environment. A tamasic child needs rhythm and grounding. A rajasic child needs direction and creative outlets. A sattvic child needs silence and inspiration. This understanding prevents unnecessary conflict, frustration, and mislabeling. Know Your Child integrates exactly this wisdom, showing parents how to identify personality patterns in their children and respond accordingly. When parents operate with Vedic clarity, the child feels seen, understood, and honored. This recognition becomes the first step toward shaping an emotionally healthy and spiritually alive human being. Parents cannot change a child's nature, but they can nurture it. This is the essence of Vedic parenting. Now, how does the Know Your Child program help parents transform their own inner child, and why is this important? Jayadav, this is perhaps the deepest dimension of the KYC program. Parenting is not just about understanding the child, it is about healing the parent. Many of the conflicts we see today arise not from the child's behavior, but from the parents' unresolved emotions, fear, insecurity, expectations, or childhood hurt. KYC introduces parents to the concept of the inner child, the emotional imprint from one's own early years. If a parent grew up with a criticism, they may unintentionally criticize their child. If they grew up with strictness, they may impose the same. If they grew up with emotional neglect, they may expect their child to fulfill their unmet needs. This is where art of living practices become transformative. Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, and pranayama release deep emotional patterns. A calm parent is naturally patient, compassionate, and intuitive. Gurudev often says, you cannot give what you do not have. Acharya and Amma could raise such an extraordinary child because they themselves were emotionally fulfilled, spiritually rooted, and inwardly complete. When parents heal their inner child, they stop overreacting, they become better listeners, they reduce expectations, and they develop empathy, they provide emotional safety. This transformation is the foundation of conscious parenting. The hallmark of KYC is that it does not merely teach parenting techniques, it awakens the parent's own innocence, joy, and authenticity. When the parent becomes whole, the child automatically thrives. To raise a child like Gurudev, parents must first become as centered as Acharya and Amma. The journey begins within. Now, how does the Vedic concept of samskara shape a child's destiny? Can modern parents apply this in daily life? Rather, the concept of samskara is foundational in Vedic parenting. Samskaras are impressions, subtle impressions created through words, actions, environment, emotions, and rituals. Just as seeds grow based on the quality of soil and nourishment, a child's inner world grows based on the samskaras they receive in the Vedas. Samskaras are not merely rituals, they are psychological impressions that prepare the child for higher living. Acharya Ratnananda and Amma understood this deeply. Their home was a place of constant purity, chanting, seva, compassion, and discipline. These samskara shaped young Ravi Shankar's brilliance, intuition, and magnanimity. So, how can modern parents apply samskaras? First, through speech, words spoken around a child become the child's inner voice. Amma always spoke with gentleness, never harshness. Parents today must also speak with respect even when correcting behavior. Second, through environment, a home filled with anger creates aggressive children. A home filled with devotion creates sensitive children. A home filled with seva creates responsible children. Third is through daily rituals, not complicated rituals, simple ones, lighting a lamp together, chanting one mantra before sleep, gratitude practice, silence time, weekly satsang. These create emotional grounding. Fourth is through conduct. Vedic parenting says that children learn more from observation than instruction. When parents meditate, serve, forgive, and smile more often, the child absorbs these qualities naturally. Fifth is through stories. Vedic stories are powerful samskara tools. They contain archetypes of courage, truth, compassion, and humility that shape a child's subconscious. In the Know Your Child program, parents learn how to use samskaras consciously, not as superstition but as psychological nourishment. Modern parents can absolutely apply samskara based parenting in meaningful, simple, everyday ways. This is how extraordinary beings like Gurudev are born, not through perfection but through consistent and conscious samskaras. Now, how does the KYC program help parents deal with children who are too sensitive or emotionally delicate? Negative children who are highly sensitive are often misunderstood. Parents may label them as weak, overreacting, or too emotional, when in reality, such children often have greater emotional intelligence, deeper perception, and heightened intuition. Sensitivity is not a defect, it is a strength if nurtured correctly. The Know Your Child program explains that sensitive children operate with a stronger Vata and Sattva constitution. They absorb energy from the environment more intensely. They notice tone, facial expressions, conflict, or even unspoken emotions. This is why they may cry easily, withdraw, or get anxious. The course teaches parents how to give such children emotional cushioning, not emotional suppression. First is validate their feelings. Instead of saying don't cry, parents learn to say I am here with you. Tell me what you felt. This builds trust. Second, teach grounding techniques. Simple breathing practices like balloon breathing or humming help regulate emotional overwhelm. Parents also learn to create grounding routines, consistent meal times, early bedtimes, and predictable transitions. Third is reduce overstimulation. Sensitive children need calm environments, not excessive screen time, loud arguments, or rushing. Fourth is protect without overprotecting. Sensitive children need safe spaces to express themselves, but also opportunities to face situations gradually. So they develop resilience. Fifth is a model emotional calmness. Sensitive children mirror their parents. When parents practice deep breathing and meditation, the child becomes emotionally steadier. Gurudev himself was a highly sensitive child, perceptive, gentle, and deeply aware. Acharya and Amma nurtured this sensitivity with silence, love, devotion, and nature. That sensitivity blossomed into compassion for the world. KYC teaches parents how to do the same, transforming sensitivity into strength, intuition, and leadership. Now, modern parents struggle with discipline. What is the Vedic approach to discipline without punishment? Like the Vedic culture defines discipline not as punishment but as samyama or self regulation. True discipline arises from within, not from fear of consequences. A child who learns discipline through fear may obey outwardly but rebels inwardly. A child who learns through understanding becomes self responsible. Acharya Ratnananda and Amma exemplified this. Their discipline was silent, strong, and rooted in love. There was no shouting, no emotional manipulation, no threats, only clarity, consistency, and dignity. Children respond to such energy. The Vedic approach to discipline includes the ritual rhythm. Children flourish in predictable routines, rituals, morning prayers, meal times, study hours, bring natural discipline. Modeling: when parents are punctual, children become punctual. When parents speak respectfully, children to do too. The gentle correction: instead of "don't do that," the Vedic approach uses explanation. This action harms you, that action helps you. The positive reinforcement: encouraging effort, not outcome, builds intrinsic motivation. The natural consequences: if a child wastes water, let them fill the bucket for the next day's bath, not as punishment, but as awareness. Silence: sometimes silence is a more powerful teacher than lecture. And some samskara building: discipline grows from inner purity and clarity. The Know Your Child program modernizes these principles, showing parents how to apply non punitive discipline for homework, screen time, routine, and behavior. Modern psychology now confirms exactly what the Vedas declared. Children discipline themselves when they feel secure, respected, and understood. To raise a child like Gurudev, discipline must be infused with dignity, not fear. Now, many parents say their children have no attention span. How does the KYC address attention disorders, restlessness, or focus issues? Yeah, the attention issues are among the top concerns parents bring to the KYC workshop. But the truth is, most children do not have clinical attention disorders. They have overstimulation, stress, and lack of emotional expression outlets. KYC's approach to attention and focus is holistic, addressing biological, emotional, and environmental causes. The breath and awareness: children breathe shallowly when anxious, which weakens focus. A simple breathing techniques taught to parents help children calm down instantly. A calm mind focuses naturally. The movement before studying: hyperactivity is often unused energy. A few minutes of jumping, stretching, or yoga channels restlessness into focus. Screens shorten attention. Parents learn a structured plan to reduce screen exposure gradually without conflict. Nutrition and sleep: irregular sleep cycles destroy concentration. KYC provides a routine blueprint to restore stability. The emotional expression: suppressed emotions weaken focus. Children must be allowed to express without fear. And the study rituals: lighting a lamp, sitting silently for 30 seconds, deep breathing. These anchor the mind. Now, Gurudev often recalls that during his childhood, Acharya ensured a rhythm of study, play, silence, and prayer. This kept his mind sharp, calm, and receptive. Their household had an atmosphere of serenity ideal for concentration to grow. KYC brings these ancient insights into modern life, practical, scientific, and doable for every parent. Now, what role does devotion or the bhakti play in shaping emotionally stable children? Negative: in Vedic culture, bhakti is not religious dogma, it is emotional grounding. Devotion teaches surrender, humility, love, gratitude, trust, and resilience. Quality is essential for emotional stability. When a child practices devotion, singing bhajans, listening to stories of dharma, offering flowers to the divine, they develop emotional intelligence naturally. Devotion connects the child to something larger than themselves, which reduces anxiety and increases optimism. Acharya ji and Amma infused devotion into Gurudev's childhood not as rigid ritual but as joyful celebration. The young Ravi Shankar would listen to chants, meditate, sit silently, and participate in simple pujas. This cultivated a serene, emotionally balanced mind that later blossomed into global compassion. Modern psychological research now confirms that spiritual practices in childhood reduce stress, improve emotional regulation, increase empathy, strengthen resilience, provide confidence during adversity. The Vedic parenting emphasizes that devotion is nourishment for the subtle body. It gives the child a sense of belonging, inner safety, and moral clarity. The Know Your Child program encourages parents to create small daily practices, not for religion, but for emotional grounding: lighting a lamp, chanting Om, 1 minute of gratitude, listening to stories of courage, and sitting in silence. Such practices expand a child's emotional world. A child rooted in devotion becomes confident, kind, patient, and stable, qualities that define Gurudev since childhood. Now, our children are getting influenced by negativity, anger, comparison, jealousy. How did Acharya and Amma build such a pure inner environment for Gurudev, and how can the Know Your Child program help us recreate that at home? Jayadev, Acharya, Ratnananda, and Amma created a spiritual environment around Gurudev that did not suppress emotions, rather, it transformed them. This is why Gurudev always says emotion is energy in motion. Acharya never punished anger, he redirected it into seva, chanting, study, and self discipline. Amma never lectured on jealousy. She expanded the heart through inclusion, sharing, and devotion. For them, the emotional environment of home was sacred like a naturally flowing river, clean, nourishing, not stagnant. In the Know Your Child program, we teach this transformation process using emotional pattern mapping. Every child has a signature pattern. Some react, some withdraw, some rebel, some compete. Awareness itself dissolves 30% of negative patterns. The neuro emotional release, simple breathing tools help children release anger without harm. The family energetic field training, parents learn how their stress becomes a child's stress and their calm becomes a child's calm. The values anchoring rituals such as family chanting, gratitude circles, seva projects, and storytelling from epics create deep emotional resilience. Now, in the Vedic system, we do not suppress emotions, we sublimate them. Just as the lotus grows from mud, anger becomes courage, jealousy becomes admiration, and comparison becomes inspiration. This is exactly how great souls like Gurudev blossomed. If parents learn this science, every home can become a Gurukul. Now, discipline is difficult. We shout, we repeat instructions 20 times, but the child still does not listen. But Acharya and Amma raised Gurudev with divine discipline. What is the secret? Yeah, the real discipline is not enforcement, it is energy management. A child listens only when the parent's energy field is centered. Acharya Ratnananda embodied a calm firmness that carried natural obedience. Amma embodied tenderness with their clarity. Children flow toward clarity when it comes wrapped in love. In your child, we teach instruction versus connection principle. If connection is low, even correct instructions fail. If connection is high, even incomplete instructions succeed. The neuroplastic repetition cycle, a parent only needs to repeat an instruction 3 times with the same tone and same intention. Inconsistent tone confuses the child's neural wiring. The silent discipline using pauses, eye contact, soft but firm breath and energy presence, a method Acharya naturally mastered. The ritual discipline, anchoring discipline in daily rituals like morning chanting, seva, cleanliness, punctuality, makes discipline a culture, not a fight. In Vedic families, discipline arose from dharma, not fear. Dharma means the natural order of things. Children obeyed because the home environment was aligned with cosmic rhythm, sunrise routines, sattvic food, prayer, respect for elders. Parents today can recreate that. Discipline flows when the parent embodies dharma. Now, children today feel disconnected from tradition and scriptures, but Gurudev grew up with absorbing the Vedic essence naturally. How can a modern parent bring that into daily life? Jayagurudev, the secret is to make culture experiential, not theoretical. Gurudev did not memorize culture, he lived it. He woke up to Amma's bhajans, watched Acharyaji's meditation, participated in daily rituals, heard stories from elders, saw seva every day. In Know Your Child, we teach story infusion method. Instead of rules, tell stories from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Jataka's tales. The child's subconscious absorbs values effortlessly. The ritual micro habits, 2 minute traditions, lighting a diya, chanting one shloka, offering gratitude. These build a cultural memory. The seva habit, monthly seva projects, feeding animals, helping elders, cleaning a park, build dharma in action. The festive learning, celebrate festivals with meaning. Why we light lamps, why we fast, why we chant. Meaning creates connection. Now, the Vedic culture is not about oldness, it is about timelessness. When a child performs a small ritual, bows to elders, or chants Om, they align with thousands of years of spiritual power. Parents who adopt even 1% of Acharyaji and Amma's cultural presence can raise a child with extraordinary grounding, just like Gurudev. Now, some children are extremely sensitive, cry easily, feel hurt, overthink. How to guide such a child without breaking their spirit? Jaguar children, sensitive children are not weak, they are potentially intuitive, creative, visionary souls. Gurudev, as a child, was extremely sensitive, moved by suffering, nature, and even subtle energies. Amma never said, Don't cry. She said, Let your heart remain soft. It is a gift. In Know Your Child, we teach sensitivity mapping, understanding whether the child is emotionally sensitive, sensory sensitive, or empathetically sensitive. Protective buffering, guarding them from overstimulation, excess noise, screens, conflicts. The strength framing, teaching them that sensitivity is a strength. Artists, healers, leaders, and saints were sensitive. The breathwork technique, soft pranayamas to calm the nervous system, be breath, gentle ujjayi, belly breathing. The compassion training turning sensitivity outward, helping others build inner power. In Vedic texts, sensitive children were considered the Rajarishi potential kings with the heart of a sage. Parents should protect their sensitivity like a sacred fire, not extinguish it. When nurtured correctly, sensitivity becomes intuition. This is how great beings like Gurudev blossom. Now, children have fear of dark, fear of failure, fear of making mistakes. How did Acharya eliminate fear in Gurudev, and how can we replicate that? Jagadish, fear dissolves in the presence of confidence plus devotion plus unconditional love. Acharya had an aura of absolute fearlessness rooted in sadhana and self knowledge. Amma embodied complete emotional safety. Together, they created an environment where fear could not survive and know your child. The fear reduction process includes a three layer safety method, emotional safety, you can talk to me about anything. The physical safety, safe routines, predictable rhythms. The spiritual safety, feeling protected by the divine. The fear exposure gradation, slowly helping the child face fears one step at a time. The mistake normalization, reframing mistakes as learning. Gurudev also teaches nothing wrong has ever happened. The breath and body techniques. Fear is a breath constriction, the calm breath is equal to the calm mind. In scriptures, the fearlessness or the abhaya is the first quality of divine beings. When a child learns that the divine is always with them through chanting, rituals, stories, fear vanishes naturally. This is how Gurudev grew up, enveloped in faith. The parents can recreate their spiritual armor. Now, my child gets distracted very fast. How did Acharya develop such deep focus in Gurudev? Can KYC help modern parents cultivate the same concentration in our kids? Jagadev Acharya Ratnananda did not force concentration upon Gurudev. He cultivated the conditions in which concentration blossoms naturally. Ancient Vedic parenting understood that attention is not commanded, it is awakened as a child. Gurudev saw his father meditate for long hours with the stillness of a sage. This silent modeling created a natural imprint on his mind. Acharya would often read scriptures aloud, pause, allow silence to settle, and then resume teaching that attention is a dance between sound and silence. Amma ensured that the home was sattvic, soft music, clean spaces, regular routines, early meals. When the nervous system is not overstimulated, focus increases effortlessly. In the Know Your Child program, we help parents replicate this through environmental design. We teach the focus pyramid, body, breath, brain, through simple pranayamas. Children learn to regulate their energy. Once energy is regulated, attention stabilizes automatically. We also guide parents to reduce micro distractions, background TV, clutter, overstimulation, emotional tension in the home. Stories from Gurudev's childhood shows that he was allowed long intervals of unstructured time, no excessive stimulation, no forced academics, just natural flowing attention. This created a calm center neurology. Now, in the Vedic tradition, concentration is cultivated through dharana, a gentle training of awareness. Children were encouraged to observe nature, chant mantras, perform small rituals, and listen deeply. These practices align the mind with the cosmic rhythms, making focus natural, not forced. Parents today can bring back just 10% of that rhythm, and the child's attention will flower like Gurudev's. Now, siblings fight a lot, but Gurudev and Bhanumati ji shared such a harmony. How did Acharya ji and Amma maintain peace among children, and how can the KYC program help us? Like the siblings fight not because there is disharmony, but because there is a comparison, competition, or attention imbalance. Acharya ji and Amma never compared Gurudev and Bhanumati ji. They treated each child as a complete universe. Amma used to say, each child comes with their own prarabdha. A mother must not mix their destinies. The wisdom prevented the subtle jealousy that modern homes unconsciously cultivate. Acharya ji created an atmosphere of dignity. Children were never shamed publicly, never mocked, never humiliated. Their individuality was respected. When a child feels valued, they do not fight for dominance. In Know Your Child, we teach parents the sibling harmony protocol. Step 1, eliminate verbal comparisons, however harmless they seem. Step 2 is assign shared responsibilities that require teamwork rather than competition. Step 3 is introduce joint spiritual anchors, chanting together, volunteering together, praying together. Children bond at the soul level when they engage in seva. We also explain the psychology of sibling rivalry. It is not anger but insecurity. When parents spend quality one on one time with each child, the rivalry dissolves. In the Vedic household, siblings were considered co travelers on a spiritual journey. Rituals like Raksha Bandham, Upanayanam, the Gayatri Homas, the Gayatri Japas, shared pujas, and collective study created emotional unity. The same sacred bonding was the foundation of harmony between Gurudev and Bhanumati ji. If parents bring back even a few Vedic rituals, sibling love will flourish naturally. Now, my 7-year-old doesn't express emotions. He keeps everything inside. How did Acharya encourage open communication in Gurudev? And can KYC help emotionally close children? Acharya created a home where emotions were not judged. A child becomes close when their first few emotional expressions are rejected, mocked, or punished. But in Gurudev's home, emotions were treated as sacred expressions of the soul. Amma had a unique ability. She listened with her eyes, not just her ears. When a child feels seen, they open up naturally. Acharya, though discipline, had a softness in communication. He respected the child's inner world. If Gurudev had a doubt, fear, or curiosity, he was encouraged to speak freely, and the answer always came with wisdom, not reprimand. In Know Your Child, we help parents rebuild emotional openness through the heart bridge technique. Non reactive listening, let the child speak without interruption. Emotion labeling, help the child identify their feelings sad, confused, angry, and sacred. The breath integration, simple breaths to calm the emotional wave. Love reassurance, a gentle touch, a smile, a hug. This process reopens the emotional channels that may have been blocked. Now, in the Vedic tradition, children were encouraged to express through art, chanting, dance, storytelling, and prayer. These outlets dissolve emotional suppression. Closed children need expression, not interrogation. When emotional suppression melts, the child's inner clarity emerges, just as Gurudev blossomed. Now, my daughter has low confidence. How can we cultivate the self esteem that Gurudev naturally radiated since childhood? Jayadev's confidence is not taught, it is mirrored. Gurudev grew up seeing Acharya walk with dignity, speak with authority, and serve with humility. A confident father or mother radiates confidence into the child's subconscious. Amma always reinforced inner worth and not external praise. She would say, "You are divine, my child." When a child hears affirmations rooted in truth, their confidence becomes unshakable. In your child, we introduce confidence architecture, a 5 layer structural system, emotional safety, no shaming, no labeling, skill exposure. Let the child try without the fear of failure. The strength awareness, identify natural strengths and celebrate them. Role modeling, parents embody calm confidence, the spiritual anchoring. When a child feels connected to the divine, insecurity melts. We also teach parents to avoid the three confidence killers: the comparison, the criticism, and conditional love. Now, according to the Gita, true confidence is Atma Vishwas, trust in the soul. Gurudev's confidence was rooted not in ego but in his connection to the self. Parents must introduce children to simple spiritual practices, chanting, and prayer. A child who feels divine support becomes fearless, not arrogant but centered. Now, my child asks deep spiritual questions. How did Acharya answer Gurudev's early spiritual curiosity, and how can KYC guide us in responding to such questions? The Gurudev was born with a cosmic curiosity, questions about life, death, karma, existence, the universe. Acharya never dismissed such questions, he embraced them. He once spent an entire afternoon answering young Gurudev's question, "Where was I before I was born?" Instead of giving a simplistic reply, he led him into reflection, silence, and meditation. Amma added devotion to the wisdom Acharya gave, creating balance between intellectual clarity and emotional depth. In Know Your Child, we help parents manage spiritual curiosity with the threefold response method. Acknowledge the question. That's a beautiful question. Give age appropriate wisdom. Simple examples from nature, stories, or analogies. Invite reflections. What do you feel about it? This approach ignites inner wisdom rather than giving ready made answers. In ancient gurukuls, deep questions were considered signs of an evolved soul. Children like Nachiketa, Prahlada, and Dhruva were encouraged, not silenced. Gurudev belonged to this lineage of questioning souls. Parents today must recognize that such children are spiritually gifted. If guided correctly, they can grow into luminous beings. Now, how did Acharya balance discipline with freedom? I feel guilty when I discipline my child. How do I know what is healthy discipline? Acharya Ratnananji is a timeless example of what we call compassionate discipline. His discipline was never harsh, it was gentle, consistent, and rooted in love. Gurudev often shared stories of how his father maintained firm boundaries but always with a soft heart. For instance, Acharya ensured routines, early waking, regular study time, seva, meditation, but he never shouted, never humiliated, never punished out of anger. His discipline was value based, not fear based. Children thrive when discipline has clarity but cruelty. Amma complemented this by giving emotional warmth, ensuring the child never felt disconnected. In Know Your Child, we teach the discipline without damage model. It includes three pillars: the structure, predictable routines, clear rules, connection of love, presence, and empathy. The guidance is the teacher rather than teaching rather than punishing. When these three are present, discipline becomes a nurturing force, not a restrictive one. We also help parents replace the word discipline with direction because children are not meant to be controlled, they are meant to be guided. When parents practice breathing techniques, they respond rather than react, ensuring discipline is delivered calmly. Now, in Vedic culture, discipline or niyama is seen as a pathway to inner freedom. It's not about suppressing the child, it's about helping them channel energy in the right direction. Acharya rooted this in values like satya or truth, shocha or cleanliness, and shraddha or devotion. When modern parents combine these timeless principles with the tools of KYC, discipline becomes a blessing for both child and parent. Now, how can we introduce spirituality to children without making it feel forced? Gurudev learned devotion so naturally. How can we recreate that atmosphere? Yeah, Gurudev, spirituality cannot be forced, it must be lived. Gurudev learned devotion because he saw it in every breath of his parents. Amma would light the lamp every evening with deep reverence. Acharya chanted mantras not as rituals but as expressions of love. Children naturally absorb that they witness repeatedly what they witness repeatedly and joyfully. In KYC, we teach something called the soft introduction method. It includes micro moments of devotion, a daily diya, a short chant, 30 seconds of silence, the story based spirituality instead of commandments, shared stories from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Yoga Vasistha, involving children in simple rituals, helping with flowers, prasad, or arranging the altar, making spirituality sensory, fragrance of incense, sound of bells, feel of the lamp. Children fall in love with spirituality when it is beautiful, not when it is heavy. We also guide parents to embody the values they want their children to imbibe, the truthfulness, the calmness, the gratitude, because their silent transmission shapes the child far more than instructions. In Vedic tradition, spirituality was introduced through aesthetics, raga, rhythm, color, stories, nature, not through fear. Acharya followed this effortlessly. If parents today recreate even a little bit of that joy filled atmosphere, spirituality will blossom in the child as spontaneously as it did in Gurudev. Now, my teenager challenges everything, the rules, the traditions, even our values. How did Acharya handle teenage Gurudev's curiosity and questioning? Jagadev Gurudev was a highly inquisitive teenager, deeply reflective, always asking profound questions. Acharya never discouraged questionings. He welcomed it. He believed that a questioning mind is a fertile mind. When a teenager challenges rules, they are not being rebellious, they are seeking clarity, autonomy, and respect. Acharya understood this and responded with wisdom, not ego. Instead of saying, follow this because I said so, he would explain the principle behind the tradition. He gave logical, scientific, and experiential answers. In Know Your Teen, we teach parents the reflective dialogue method. Listen fully without defensiveness, validate the intention behind the question, connect to the people, not rigid rules, and offer space. Don't force agreement immediately. When teenagers feel respected, they naturally return to the family's values. We also teach parents to maintain high warmth plus high structure, the sweet spot where independence develops without chaos. Now, in the Vedic worldview, a teenager is transitioning from brahmacharya to deeper understanding. Questioning is seen as tapas, the fire of discernment. Acharya nurtured this fire in Gurudev with patience and depth. Modern parents must do the same, guide, not dominate. When guided correctly, a questioning teen becomes a wise adult. Now, how can we raise a child who is both brilliant and compassionate? Gurudev is intellectually sharp yet deeply kind. What was the secret of such balanced development? Jagadav Acharya and Amma gave both wings equal nourishment, intellect, and heart. They encouraged Gurudev to study deeply, observe nature, reflect, question, and understand scripture. At the same time, Amma nurtured his empathy through seva, caring for guests, feeding the poor, and showing kindness to every living being. This dual nourishment created an extraordinary balance. Today, many parents push academics but forget compassion or focus on emotions but neglect discipline. In Know Your Child, we teach the balanced brain and balanced heart framework. The left brain grows through structure, skills, training, and learning. The right brain grows through stories, music, silence, and nature. Compassion grows when children perform small acts of kindness, helping elders, feeding animals, assisting in chores. Intellectual sharpness grows through concentration practices, breath work, and value based learning. When both parents embody responsibility like Acharya and tenderness like Ammaji, the child absorbs both qualities effortlessly. That is why Gurudev and Bhanumatiji grew up into such balanced beings. Parents today can recreate this by gifting their child a blend of knowledge, seva, silence, and love. In the Vedas, brilliance without compassion is considered incomplete. The rishis taught jnana or knowledge and karuna or compassion together. Acharya embodied both. When parents bring back this ancient balance, children naturally grow into luminous, wise, and kind human beings. Now, how do I ensure my child develops the inner strength? Today, children get stressed easily. Gurudev seems unshakably calm. How was this resilience built? Jagannath Gurudev's resilience was sculpted lovingly through a combination of routine, spiritual anchoring, emotional security, and exposure to small challenges. Acharya believed that overprotection weakens a child. He allowed Gurudev to solve problems independently, make decisions, explore, even face small difficulties. This cultivated confidence and inner courage. Amma provided emotional safety. Every challenge was met with reassurance, not panic. This combination of gentle exposure and emotional security is the foundation of resilience. In Know Your Child, we teach parents the four layers of inner strength. Breath based regulation, children learn to calm their nervous system. Emotional literacy, they learn to name and navigate emotions. Challenge exposure, age appropriate responsibility builds grit. The spiritual grounding, a child who knows I am protected becomes fearless. We also guide parents to avoid rescuing children too quickly. Let them try first, let them struggle a bit. Growth happens there. Now, in Vedic upbringing, children were taught both sensitivity and strength. They chanted mantras, practiced discipline, served others, and lived with simplicity. Such training builds resilience. This is exactly how Acharya and Amma raised Gurudev. Modern parents can replicate the same with the help of KYC tools. Now, how can I help my child build focus and concentration? Today, the mind is scattered. How did Acharya keep Gurudev so centered from childhood? Jagadav Acharya cultivated concentration and Gurudev through a beautiful blend of routine, breath work, and exposure to silence. Gurudev has spoken about how his father encouraged him to sit quietly for a few minutes every day, not as a forced practice, but as a natural part of life. Silence was treated like a friend. Amma created an atmosphere where the home was calm, rhythmic, devotional. Such an environment strengthens the child's nervous system and trains the mind to become steady. In Know Your Child, we teach parents techniques that directly enhance attention span, short 1 minute breathing practices, visual focus exercises, mindful listening, and rhythm based activities that regulate the child's mind. Most importantly, we guide parents to reduce overstimulation. Too many toys, screens, and choices scatter the mind. A child who has space to get bored, reflect, or play freely develops a deeper focus. The program also teaches the single attention stream technique where parents help children complete one task at a time. When the home environment is calm, routine driven, and filled with love, not tension, the child's mind becomes like a lamp in a windless place. This is how Acharya nurtured Gurudev's extraordinary clarity. When parents model calmness, children absorb stability effortlessly. Vedic education systems train children in dharana or concentration through mantra chanting, listening, and observing nature. Acharya rooted Gurudev in these practices. Focus is not taught, it is transmitted. When parents adopt even a fraction of this lifestyle, their child's mind becomes sharp, steady, and luminous. My child is extremely sensitive and takes things too hard. Gurudev was sensitive yet strong. How do I help my child achieve that balance? Like the sensitivity is not a weakness, it's a sign of a refined nervous system. Gurudev, even as a child, was deeply sensitive. He felt the pain of others, noticed subtle emotions, and responded with compassion. Acharya and Amma never tried to toughen him up in the harsh sense. Instead, they strengthen this inner anchor. This is the essence of Know Your Child. Teach the child to feel deeply but not break easily. We guide parents to build emotional strength through three parts: the emotional literacy, children learn to understand, name, and express feelings; the breath regulation, when the breath is calm, emotions don't overwhelm; the value based grounding, principles like kindness, seva, gratitude become stabilizers. In addition, we help parents avoid phrases like don't cry or be strong. Instead, we teach them to validate the child's emotions while guiding them towards solutions. Gurudev learned this because his parents handled his sensitivity with dignity, not suppression. When a sensitive child is supported properly, then they become extraordinary leaders, artists, thinkers, and healers. Sensitivity combined with grounding creates compassionate brilliance. That is the legacy of Acharya Jesus of bringing strength without harshness, sensitivity without fragility. Now, in the Vedas, sensitivity or bhava is seen as a pathway to devotion and higher perception. Sage poets, rishis, and enlightened masters were all highly sensitive beings. Acharya channeled this trait correctly in Gurudev through mantra, discipline, and seva. Modern parents can do the same through the tools taught in KYC. Now, the screens and the internet are influencing my child more than family. How can I reverse this? How would Acharya and Amma have done today? Jagadev, if Acharyaji and Amma were raising a child today, they would not fight technology, they would balance it. Acharyaji was modern in thought, traditional in values. He would set clear boundaries, no gadget during meals, and no screen before sleep, designated tech time, and more real life engagement. Amma would fill the home with warmth, stories, singing, culture, and rituals that naturally draw a child inward. In Know Your Child, we address screen addiction extensively. That the key lies in four principles: replace, don't remove. Children need meaningful alternative stories, activities, hobbies, music, and seva. The ritualize screen time, predictable rules reduce conflict. The parent modeling. The child follows what they see. If parents scroll endlessly, rules collapse. The emotional connection first. A connected child listens. A disconnected child escapes into screens. We also coach parents on managing online schooling fatigue, addiction to gaming, and attention fragmentation caused by digital overload. Breathwork helps reset the overstimulated nervous system, reducing craving for digital highs. Acharya would respond with wisdom, not panic. He would combine modern tools with Vedic balance, structure, connection, devotion, and silence. This approach transforms screen battles into harmony. In Vedic culture, attention was considered sacred. If technology distracts a child from their essence, parents must restore balance through culture, mantra, and family rituals. The digital world is powerful, but parental presence is more powerful. This was the principle Acharya lived by. Now, how can I raise my child to be spiritually inclined like Gurudev without isolating them from the modern world? Gurudev grew up spiritually anchored yet fully modern. He learned the Gita and Brahma Sutras, but also studied science, mathematics, and modern literature, and even got a degree in BSc physics. Acharya ensured his mind was sharp. Amma ensured his heart was pure. In Know Your Child, we show parents how to integrate spirituality with the modern life. Yes, Jagadev. Acharya ensured his mind was sharp, Amma ensured his heart was pure. In Know Your Child, we show parents how to integrate spirituality with modern life. It begins with small rituals, not heavy religious instructions, lighting a lamp, chanting one mantra, 3 minutes of silence, gratitude before meals. Then comes value based conversation, where parents share stories of courage, honesty, compassion from the scriptures in a contemporary narrative. The third layer is mindfulness and breath work. Children experience inner peace, not just hear about it. Finally, exposure to service connects spirituality with a real world impact. Spirituality becomes isolating only when imposed rigidly. When introduced gently, it becomes a source of joy and strength. Authority did not enforce rituals, he embodied devotion. Amma did not lecture, she sang, served, and smiled. Children naturally follow such parents. When spirituality is presented as beauty, not burden, children embrace it with enthusiasm. In the Vedic worldview, spirituality and worldly life were never separate. Kings like Janaka were enlightened rituals, rishis guided society. A child grounded in values, breath, and devotion becomes capable of handling modern pressures with grace. This is exactly how Acharya shaped Gurudev, a synthesis of inner depth and outer dynamism. Now, what is the ultimate teaching from Acharya and Amma's parenting that we can implement through KYC to raise a child like Gurudev? The greatest legacy of Acharya and Amma was their being not merely their methods. They raised Gurudev not through techniques but through embodied values, integrity, devotion, discipline, compassion, simplicity, and unconditional love. They lived with what they wanted their children to embody. In Know Your Child, we guide parents toward the same four pillars. Acharya and Amma exemplified presence. Children need emotionally available parents. Values, truth, humility, seva, gratitude taught through example. The breath and silence, a calm nervous system creates a wise mind. The balanced structure from the father, softness from the mother. When these four come together, the child becomes brilliant yet humble, sensitive yet strong, spiritual yet practical. Qualities we see in Gurudev. The program helps parents unburden themselves from guilt, confusion, or exhaustion and rediscover the joy of parenting. Gurudev often says, your smile is the first lesson you give your child. Acharya lived this, Amma radiated it. And that smile became the foundation for Gurudev's life. Through KYC, parents learn to create a home where joy is natural, silence is soothing, values are lived, and love is unconditional. Such a home becomes a sacred playground where a child's genius unfolds effortlessly. The ultimate Vedic teaching is simple. Parents are the first gurus. When parents embody purity, devotion, and strength, the child becomes a blessing to the world. Acharya and Amma proved this. KYC helps modern parents walk the same path, raising children who shine like Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.